Hey, Tim.
Hey,
It's Ariel from Atlanta.
oh hey Ariel, you're live with H.A. Goodman and Tim Black.
I guess I wanted to throw my 2 cents in there today. Last day or two, I've just been incredibly depressed, I have to say. Trying to keep my head above the emotional water with the outcome of the Philando Castile verdict.
Mm.
That whole story is just heartbreaking. Um, I can't believe sometimes that we're still dealing with such brutality and inequality and just callous behavior in the world still. Um, and I think that his mother, her comments were so uh, to the point. She said, you just wait. She said, once they're done with us, they're coming for you. And it's the truth, because, and I have to say, one ray of hope that I saw in the whole debacle was that when I saw the protests and when I saw the people coming out, there was an amazing amount of diversity. It wasn't just black people. It wasn't just, one group. It was white people and Asian, Latino, all mixed, groups of age and race and, women, men, children. And I think that, that's the thing that worries me anytime something happens is I don't want it to get used by the media or the government as a race war, to get us fighting with each other. And so when I see people unifying and I see them coming together, that does give me that glimmer of hope. But I appreciate you guys so much and love that you're there. You give us all a lot of inspiration. And you keep us going when it's really tough to keep going when these kind of stories come out.
Oh well, thank you,
Thanks,
Ariel.
y'all.
Thank you.
You want to,
Thank you very much,
Ariel
Eric.
calls in on Freedom Fridays, man. And she always has something great. Thank you so much, Ariel, for the call. We appreciate you, sis.
Thank you.
A lot of people don't know this, and I'm going to put this out here about HA. Like, people, I get people who complain about HA because he's like, he doesn't, something about Hillary or it's always something, right? And they don't realize all the good things that H.A. Goodman does. Now, he probably won't say this. I'm going to try to push him to it. H.A. Goodman recently lost a number of subscribers because he did a video about Philando Castile and he called out the police brutality.
Yeah. No,
And
yeah.
what he said, now I want you to know, he said, good, let him go. That's what he told me. He said, good, let them go. If they don't understand police brutality, if they don't care about justice for all people, and they don't see the disparities in how our justice system works, they can get the hell off my channel. I don't care. And I just want you to know that's the person that you keep on bugging Tim Black about that needs to do whatever. That's the guy. HA has principles. So HA, man,
Well, I want to thank you, Tim. Yeah, basically, my channel is, if you hate the Democratic Party, you have a home in my channel. And so that also means that a lot of conservatives, watch me.
Because guess what? They hate the Democratic Party, too.
Exactly.
Strange bedfellows it makes. We have something in common. Doesn't mean, the HA is a white nationalist.
Yeah, and so my thing is, I actually did a number of videos on Philando Castile. One's at 30,000 views already.
Wow.
And
Jesus.
there's 5 or 6 elements of this where I explain he was murdered. Number one, when the defenders of the policeman Yanez, who shot 7 times into a car, what they overlook is the following. They say that, the police officer said that Philando Castile fit the description of a suspect. The robbery was 4 days prior. So, excuse my language, that's a bunch of bullshit. The robbery was 4 days prior. Then there's the issue of he's with his girlfriend and a child in the back. Then he had a gun permit in an open carry state. Then the officer gives him 2 contradictory commands, requests, or demands. Take out your ID and don't pull out anything. So what Philando Castile did rightfully is say, look, I have a gun here just to let you know, and I have a permit for the gun, or I have a gun, I got the permit, but you see the thing is, the Second Amendment people, they say, well, we should be able to openly carry. Well, what happens is, if you're in an open carry state and you have a gun permit, the officer, it's not only a racial issue, because obviously the statistics have been shown that black citizens get pulled over for minor traffic violations or taillights far more than white white drivers. So the officer already had a predetermined notion of what was going to take place even before, and you could tell when he shot and killed Philando Castile. Number one, you could tell the officer realized that he completely fucked up. You could tell that he just from his voice, I told him not to take anything. I told him. So he was really, it wasn't like I did the right thing. I was for my life, it was, I told him not to take anything. And it's one thing also when people say, oh, well, he wasn't abiding by the commands. That doesn't mean you should die.
Right. Where's the threat? Where's the threat, guys? Where's the threat?
The threat. I've written a great deal. I've written about Eric Garner, Trayvon Martin, John Crawford. I even wrote an article in the Huffington Post basically saying that black men should openly carry a gun after John Crawford and Trayvon Martin. But I was on Huffington Post Live with Mark Lamont Hill to talk about Michael Brown, because I wrote an article about Michael Brown. What if white people and black people switched places? With Philando Castile, it's a murder. With Eric Garner, he gets choked out. For what? For what? That's a murder. So it just seems like it's definitely like Elizabeth Beck was talking about. If all a police officer has to do, and it's not all police officers, because I know police officers who don't get into that situation,
right,
who defuse things. Those are the normal police officers. It's always the police officers who aren't, up to par, who say, I feared for my life, he was pulling out a gun. That's all they have to say. I feared for my life, he was pulling out a gun. And then even if the person doesn't have, and it's a black citizen, almost always nowadays, we see in the news, if all they have to say is, oh, well, even if there's no gun, I thought he was pulling out a gun. Yep. And I feared for my life. And he didn't abide by commands. Then there's an execution, and a lot of conservatives will say, oh, well, they're not. But I noticed something, Tim, because I've been called a conservative whisperer. And because I treat, I communicate with them like they're human beings. I don't just, say, you're so stupid, look at that, Trump. And because they have actually bragging rights. All Congress is owned by Republicans and the executive branch. But I noticed something with Philando Castile, more and more conservatives, Tim, are saying, oh my God, this is murder. I noticed that.
Wow.
Because now you got the Second Amendment thing going on, because Philando Castile had a permit. He had every right to own that gun. And just because, and one conservative said, the presence of a gun, actually the National Review said this also, and the presence of a gun doesn't make the officer's life, or doesn't increase the risk for the officer. Because if you're a gun owner, it's actually one of the safest demographics. You're actually, most gun owners are by and large quite law-abiding.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.